Hello everyone, welcome to yet another live Q&A. I'm first going to do mic test as usual. So if you have already joined, please do let me know if the audio is working fine. If you can hear me clearly, type yes. If you cannot hear me, if you just see my lips moving, just type no in the chat just so I know everything is working fine, even though I have this testing device beside me. I still need to know from your perspective if you are able to hear me or not. As for the monitoring device, I seem to be, yeah, it seems to be working just fine. Yeah, so let's get started. So today, first I would like to discuss about the difference between R programming and Python programming, because I have got this question a few times now. When people are starting out in data science, they are slightly confused which language to pick, because learning a language can take some time if you don't know programming already. So yeah, that's why I want to cover this very quickly. They both have their advantages and disadvantages, so I will just quickly cover what these programming languages do well. So what is the difference between R programming language and Python programming language? So R was designed for statistical analysis and also for data visualization. So it has quite a lot of very interesting data visualization packages and statistical packages. So whenever you are working on something which is statistical heavy, if you want to model a statistical model, you can use R. And it also has Shiny, which is a lot better. You don't need to know a lot of HTML and CSS. You can create quite a lot of interesting dashboards within Shiny. So those are the things that you can use R for. And now for Python was created as a general purpose programming language. And if you want to integrate your data science applications with some other web-based applications, that's where you use Python. And it can do quite a lot of heavy machine learning tasks as well. It has quite a lot of data science related packages such as NumPy, Pandas, sklearn, PyTorch, and TensorFlow. So it has a very good ecosystem. Whatever you can think of building in Python, you should be able to find a package, and you don't need to code everything from scratch. So those are some of the positives for Python. But if you are not sure which one to pick, I would say maybe try both. Just basic syntax, whichever feels a lot more comfortable to you, you can use that. Personally, I think syntax of Python is a lot more easier when compared to R, so that would be relatively easy to learn. So that's a bit about R versus Python. Now I will start taking questions in the chat if we have any. No questions, but we have Ashutosh and Sanjay. Hi, how are you guys doing? Everything's good from my end, Ashutosh. Thanks. Everything seems to be working fine. Yeah. Hi, how are you? How's the weather like? It's good. It's very sunny and slightly warm today, so it's good. Um, Thinking to maybe go out after live Q&A. So yeah, it's a nice weather today. I'm sure you would know. What's your plans today? How? Anyone from your circle has masters digital signal processing or anything like that? I think more people doing that kind of courses. Not in my circle, but my first job was related to processing the signal data. So it is very interesting, and I think these days the amount of signal processing or the digital signal data is increasing quite a lot. So yes, no wonder why people are trying to get into signal processing side of things. But in my circle, no. I have very little experience with processing signal. So yeah. Are you trying to get into signal processing, Ashutosh? What are you currently working on? Did you check University of West London? A while back, yes. Recently, no. When I was shortlisting universities for my masters, I did take a look into their course specifically for data science. They might be providing some other courses as well, which I might not be aware of. Maybe it's something very specific to uh, signal processing, but I'm not sure. I will just do some house cleaning at home. Jenny is out with her friends in the room. I am alone but free today. I really want to get out to enjoy the sunshine. Really to see. I agree. Yeah, I mean you should definitely go out. If I'm going out and in the city, I will let you know if you can come out. So yeah, I will let you know. Or if you are going, just give me a shout. I basically work on computer vision domain. That's good. Yeah. It's been a while. I haven't worked on any of the computer vision projects. I may do some toy project just for fun, I guess, because it's been a while. I liked working on computer vision projects as well. These days, mostly natural language processing, but yeah, I can maybe do some toy project just for fun. Did you try Grok 3? I heard it is the top best scored model. I tried it on Twitter, not Twitter, X. So yeah, I tried it very briefly. Didn't get time to play around. So it definitely seems to be uh, quite good, but there are nuances to it. I haven't asked some difficult questions like I have done in the past with ChatGPT and DeepSeek. So DeepSeek seems to be a very good one. So far, I haven't tried those questions. For example, how many A's are in this particular sentence? So those kind of things. So I haven't asked those things to Grok yet. So I will play around Grok a little bit more. In terms of job market, which would be suitable, R or Python? I think when there are two different type of job market, one is the researcher side and the other one is the corporate side. So if you look at the corporate, Python is definitely the most popular programming language. There are some companies who use R as well, but Python is definitely the most popular one. And if you look at the research side of things, R is a lot more popular when compared to Python. So it depends in which kind of job market you would like to go in. But if you look at overall, considering everything, I think Python definitely wins, and it has a much bigger job market when compared to R. Yes, I'm learning doing toy projects in NLP, exploring all the LLMs and all. Yeah, I think doing these toy projects are always very good. And these days there are so many large language models out there. So, yeah, I think trying every model, they have their own nuances and they have their own uh, methodology. So, it's good to try all of those. Well, not possible to try all of those models, but the popular ones. And some of them are a lot more easier to fine tune, some of them are a lot more easier to build a RAG application on top. Some of them are a little bit more tricky, but overall I think it's good to have at least 3-4 models. Understanding of those 2-3 models would be very good. Python seems to be more popular. R is too limited to your future. Yeah, I agree. R can do only so many things. Well, if you want to push a programming language to do anything, you can definitely do it. You just need to know one programming language and you can do almost any kind of things. But when it comes to ease of development and things that a particular programming language can do, I think in that case Python is definitely a lot more versatile. Do you believe quality sucks once they are quantized? What do you mean? Quality in what sense? Can you hear me now? I don't know when did this go off, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me now. Yeah, sorry. I don't know when did it go off. I didn't realize. So I don't know where you missed me, but I will talk from the beginning. So yes, definitely when you use quantized fine tuning, you reduce the usage of the memory and you increase the speed up you speed up the process of fine tuning, but then obviously you lose some of the information and the quality of the data. So it definitely reduces the quality of the output, but there has to be the trade-off, because when you train on the raw data, it will be a lot more expensive, and it will take a lot more time. But then when you quantize and then you fine tune your model, the quality of the response reduces a bit, but I think it is worth uh, spending little less. So there has to be that trade-off, and you need to find a particular balance. So you are how much you are willing to compromise on the quality of the response. There's always trade-off in data science. I would say you have to sometimes compromise on the quality of the output to save up some computation, but then in some cases you just can't compromise on the quality of the output, and it doesn't matter how much resource it requires. You have to dedicate that resource. I don't know why I'm getting so many pop-ups today. And even while I was scheduling this or setting up this live Q&A, I was facing a lot of issues. In all my devices, my account was logged out. So yeah, I had to log back in and set up this live Q&A. How is the job market for business analyst related role? I have been trying for more than 8 months, no response yet. Is it worth staying back here rather than going back to India? So what were the modules that were covered in your business analytics course? Because what I have seen is I have not applied to any of the business analytics roles, and I haven't seen all the job descriptions, so can't comment. But just for the research, and when I wanted to make a video about business analytics versus data analytics, I saw that in a lot of the job description they mention things like agile methodology, scrum master, and kanban, those kind of things. And if you don't know those kind of things, and if you don't have a scrum certification, I think sometimes these business analytics roles are a little hard to get. And one thing I've also seen in the UK, that when you start to pursue your business analytics course, the course is a lot more structured in a similar way as that of data analytics course. So it feels less of a business analytics course and more of a data analytics course. So that could be one of the reasons. But if you can maybe let me know some of the modules that you went through. Were there any modules where they covered agile methodology and these kind of things? So if they have, then I think it should be, I won't say easy, because job market is very rough and it is still going to be difficult to get something, but definitely you'll be able to find something with relatively easily, I would say. As for your second question, is it worth staying here or going back to India? It totally depends on how much funds you have. Are you able to sustain yourself here, or you're finding it really hard to stay here and find something? So, and you might already be on your post-study work visa. So even if you go back to India and you try to find jobs from there, you can do that. But what I've seen is in some of the companies, they do ask candidates to come to the office for a face-to-face interview these days. So if that will happen, it is going to be a little challenging for you to attend those interviews. But I have seen that is very, very less. It's not like it's not even probably more than 5% of those jobs. So you will still be able to go through the interview process for 95% of the jobs that you apply to. So I would say, if you want to save some money, yes, you can go back to India. You can stay in India and you can still apply for jobs in the UK from there. And if you're able to find something, you can come back, and you might be able to save some money in your living expense. And at the same time, you can also try to find something in India as well. So wherever you are able to find something, you can just get on with that. So that would be my advice. Some of the people try doing that. They did their masters from Northumbria University and Newcastle University and some of the other universities as well. And when they were trying to find a job on their post-study work visa, they were finding it really hard. So they went back to India and they tried finding jobs from there. Some of the people were able to find, and then they came back. But then there were a lot of people who couldn't find anything, and then they stayed back in India and their home country. But then they were able to find something in their home country. So yeah, there are different options, but do make your decision very carefully. And it is a very difficult decision. I totally get it. But if you are, and one other thing is that when you stay here and when you finish your masters, to be able to sustain yourself, a lot of people do try to find a part-time job, and then they dedicate way too much time for part-time job, and they do not prepare well for the interviews, and they do not work on other technical and soft skills, which might help improve their profile, CV, and eventually end up in a job. So yeah, there are a lot of things. Make sure you are able to balance everything if you are working on a part-time job. All right, I don't think we have any more questions. I did research about courses. The tuition fee is high. How did you fund yourself, like some scholarship or day job? I had taken education loan for my university fees, and I had some savings from my previous job for my living expense. So I used both of those kind of funds, and then I also had a very small scholarship from Newcastle University. I think it was 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, which is small when you look at the grand scheme of the whole fees, but when you just look at that much amount, it is quite significant. So yeah, those were the things, how I funded my education. And then in second semester I was able to find internship. So internship also paid for living expense, and I was able to save quite some money from the internship as well. So yeah, that's how I personally funded my education. But I think after that, the fees of these universities have increased quite a lot. So I totally get it. It is going to be slightly difficult to be able to do something like that if you don't have savings, and if you don't want to take education loan. But I think getting education loan is relatively easy, I would say. Paying it back is a completely different scenario. If you are able to find a job in your domain, I think you'll be able to pay it back quite easily. But if you're not able to get a job here in the UK, then it could be slightly tricky. But then it is definitely possible to be able to pay back your education loan by just working on these part-time jobs. And when I say part-time jobs, it's a job which is not related to your domain, but then you'll be working full-time. So it is possible, but I don't think that is ideal. No problem, Sanjay. I totally get it. It's very difficult and hard decision, because there's quite a lot of investment that is required, and some people just don't have that much flexibility. And when you take that step, you need to be very careful about all the decisions that you make. So yeah, I get it. I've been in your shoes. It's difficult, but eventually I think we'll all be able to find something that we like. Which your favorite IDE now, Cursor or VS Code? I've been using VS Code for a very long time now, and I still like it. I don't think I have tried Cursor, because even in my work setup I use VS Code, and for the personal projects also I use VS Code. There are so many extensions that I can use. A lot of applications are very well integrated within VS Code. So I would say VS Code is going to be my preferred IDE, but I can definitely look into Cursor, because before this I did not hear anything about Cursor. But thanks for mentioning. I will definitely take a look. What is your favorite IDE, Sagar? I would like to mention that in the past, when I used to work on some of the web based applications like web pages and all, using PHP, HTML, CSS, I tried some other IDEs as well, such as Sublime Text, Atom, those kind of things. They were also really good for those kind of things, but ever since I have started using VS Code, I haven't went back to any of those IDEs. Currently, are you working more on development or building models? In my work setup, it's more of a development side of things. There are a few models that I'm working on collaboratively with my team, but mostly it's development. As for the side projects, those things are mostly related to either natural language processing or any of those fun projects that I post on YouTube. Recently, I posted a very fun project where I pitched ChatGPT against Stockfish Engine to play chess. So that was just one fun project. I like playing chess. I'm not good at it, but I like playing chess. So I thought, why not work on a fun project like that? So it was very interesting. And then before that, I um, worked on that audio transcription project. Again, it was a fun project related to audio data. and transcribing it to text and then summarizing using ChatGPT. So those are some of the fun projects that I had worked on. I have few other things on pipeline, but I haven't started any of those yet. So I will keep you posted once I start working on something else. I'm using cursor with Windsurf both. It is making coding really fast. Which project took me around a week now. It just take 4 hours. That's great. Cursor is AI based code editor. It cost. Okay. Right. I think I have heard about it. Yeah, I've seen some ads. Yeah. Now I can remember. Yeah. If it costs something, then I probably wouldn't have used, because in VS Code as well, you get these Copilot, and I tried that. It's amazing. So I agree to your point, Sagar. I don't know React that well, but I thought, let's see if I want to create a React application, just a CRUD application, how long it will take. So in the past, if I had to, first of all, I had to learn React very well, and then need to find the code snippet and documentation and those kind of things on Stack Overflow and the official documentation page. It would have definitely taken a week or so to be able to do those things. But with the help of Copilot, I was able to do it in like 2 to 3 hours, something like that. So it definitely increases the speed of development for sure. So yeah, if Cursor is AI based code editor, very dedicated, so I'm pretty sure it would have fine-tuned a lot for different type of applications. But I don't think I will be able to incorporate that in my work setup, because the organization won't allow, and for my personal project I think Copilot would be fine for now. But just to try, I think it is definitely worth trying. I do like trying new and different kind of things, so thanks for mentioning. I will definitely look into it. Cursor fork of VS Code, it feels like VS Code. That's good actually, because if the UI is very similar, or at least feels like VS Code, like terminal within your VS Code, you don't need to get out of your ID to run different stuff. And sometimes you also have those, when you're working on a web-based project, you have those live view, which you can just have, you just save, and then it reflects on your web page. Those kind of things, if it has, I think that's really good to know. So many new things coming and so many different things to try. It's just lack of time, I would say, but yeah, exciting times, a lot of new and interesting stuff. Every time I come here for live Q&A, I learn something new for sure. So I like doing these. I learn a lot, and I hope I am able to provide something useful to you guys as well. So I think it's a win-win for both of us. What is view on AI agents? In India, I am getting call for AI agents every day. 2-3 call, just confused. Are they following here USA hype, or I don't know what you mean by getting calls. Is it like AI agent related calls, or I mean job calls, or something else? But I would say AI agents are definitely the most hot topic for 2025, because when they started creating RAG applications, retrieval augmented generation applications, it was able to um, answer the questions based on your data, and it became a big thing rather than just answering some general stuff. But now with agents, it takes the capability even further. It can interact with a lot of different type of data sets, so it's not limited to just uh, one data set. It can actually, when you ask a question, it can direct the questions to different kind of models. So for example, if you have mm, yeah, so for example, if you have reviews data, right, and if you have trained your fine-tuned your model to answer questions related to reviews, and then you have sales data, and you have another model which is very specific to your sales data, but then if a user wants to interact with the model, they'll have to interact with two separate applications, two separate models. But when you put an AI agent on top, that agent will be capable to understand the questions that user will ask and then redirect it to the suitable agent. So it brings everything in one place, and I think it is definitely, and this is was the very simplified version of what agents can do. They can do quite a lot more than this. So I would say yes, it is definitely something which is worth looking into. But I would also like to mention that these days what I'm seeing is a lot of people are trying to solve some of the use cases using large language models, which can easily be solved using traditional machine learning approach. So there is definitely a hype, and I would say at some to some extent the bubble as well. It might burst at some point, but I would say it is worth looking into, and also it's important to have a good understanding about the foundations like traditional machine learning. And also, business will ask 100 different things, and they will ask to use cutting edge technology. But as a developer, as a data scientist, I think you have to have that knowledge and guide the stakeholders in right direction and suggest them this use case can be solved quite easily with traditional machine learning, which will save them quite a lot of money, and it will be a lot more usable as well. But then if you cannot solve certain things using machine learning, then definitely it is worth looking into large language models and agents and all these cutting edge technology. So yeah, I think that's where the human aspect come into picture, and that technical knowledge will come into picture. So I would say yes, if you have your foundations strong, if you feel very comfortable with all the things in traditional machine learning and deep learning, and then uh, previous methodology like RAG, then it's definitely worth looking into agents for sure. I hope that helps, Sagar. In some interview, they are asking lead code question, hard DSA. It is very difficult to balance AI and DSA. How to deal with it for ML engineer is some for your location. Is same for your location. Yeah. I would say yes, because there are different things, because a lot of the companies which are hiring these specialized machine learning engineers, they want them to build those machine learning models and be very optimized to be able to integrate in their application so that it doesn't take too much time to load and give output. So for that, I think the DSA part comes in quite heavy, and they would expect you to understand different type of data structures and how to reduce the time complexity and space complexity. So I would say yes, it is important, but then there are some companies where they just want a solution. For them, the latency is not that big of an issue. In those companies, they won't care too much about the DSA side of things. But I would say, I did say this, I think last year as well in one of the videos, that the differentiation between software engineer and data science is getting very thin and thin every day. So these days there are quite a lot of companies where they post software engineer roles, but then they expect the candidate to know machine learning and they want them to work on machine learning projects. And then there are a lot of data science related job postings where they ask candidates to know software development skills. So at some point, I think they both will be treated as same. And in bigger companies like Google, Amazon, they don't have well, they do have data science related roles, but they are software engineers. They're working on these machine learning kind of projects. So yeah, this differentiation is getting thinner and thinner day by day. So I would say yes, it's important to have knowledge of data structures and algorithm, because when I was applying for jobs, even in some of the interviews, they did ask these things to me as well. So the first job offer that I had, they gave me the lead code problem and I had to solve them. And then in the second round, they asked me to explain my approach, and then they asked, can it be optimized? And then after that round, there was another round where they asked to work on some applications and had to develop some features. Even though the job was related to the job posting was related to data science, they asked me these things. And then the last round was purely data science related. So yeah, here also it is kind of same. So yeah, I would say it's important to have knowledge of both. I think AI will merge with software and vice versa. I definitely agree to this. Yes. Because you would see there are so many applications they're making use of AI, and I don't think there are any applications which are not making use of AI. So probably that's the future, and we need to embrace it. Can't really do much about it. How to build habit lead code? I know it is not rocket science. I mean, yes, it is not rocket science, but it can be difficult for sure, because when I was learning programming back in my bachelor's, I thought I just need to solve one problem every day, and I will develop my programming skills. But then it was so hard for me to keep up with that, because there were a lot of other things as well I had to focus on. But then and obviously I was not really good at programming, so I started solving some of the easy problems. And also on lead code, it's when a problem says that it's easy, that doesn't mean it is actually easy, because you also need to see how many people are able to complete that challenge. So there's a completion rate as well. So you need to see all those things. And if it's easy and if the completion rate is high, then I think you should try that if you are just getting into it, just so you get motivated that you're able to solve those problems. And when you see some progress and if you see that yeah, it is fun solving these problems, then you can slowly start getting into medium and high difficulty problems. So that way it becomes a lot more enjoyable, and that's what I did. And every time I used to solve those lead code problems, I used to think of them as a game. So in game, what you do, you clear different levels and then you fight the final boss and then you finish the game, something like that. So in programming as well, I used to divide them into different small steps and then solve the first step and then see if the output is good. If the output is good, then I move on to the next part and then I try to solve. And once I have solved everything, once I'm getting all the test cases clear, then I go back and try to optimize and try to improve the time complexity and space complexity. Because even in interviews, when they ask you these programmatical questions, the first goal, your first goal should be to solve the problem and get all the test cases cleared, and then you can start optimizing, because even they understand that writing the best solution in one go is not possible, and even if it is possible, it's very difficult. And if someone is writing the best optimized program in first go, probably they would have already seen this problem and may have learned the whole thing. So you don't need to worry about in the first step shouldn't be to write the most optimized code. First you need to solve them and then go back and try to optimize it if possible. So that way it doesn't feel burden or doesn't feel that challenging, and it feels a lot more enjoyable to work on these things. So that's what I did, and that's how I developed the habit of going back to lead code and try solving problems. And I probably would have solved like what 10-15 problems, and then I started seeing some improvement in my programming skills. So yeah, you would very quickly see some improvement in your DSA when you start solving these problems on lead code. One company told me to write in whiteboard. Those are the very difficult ones. I think Google does the same thing, writing code in whiteboard. So those are definitely difficult. And when I was learning to program, I used to write them on pen and paper. So when I used to write them on pen and paper, and then I used to take that program and run it in my IDE, I used to get so many errors, and then I was like, I don't think I'll be able to learn programming that well and learn these concepts that well. But it's just about practice. So again, same goes for lead code as well. If it is becoming more and more, because previously I think it was just Google who used to do this whiteboard programming thing, but I think seems like more and more companies are doing that these days. So if it is increasing, I would say when you read a problem on lead code, you can follow the same methodology, right? To solve a small snippet, try to solve that aspect, write it on your notebook, pen and paper, or you can write it in Word and just copy paste in your lead code IDE and see if it is working fine. If it is not working fine, then you need to go back and make those changes on pen and paper rather than in the IDE, and then come back and see. So you will very quickly realize that you will start to find some pattern where you are missing certain concepts and where you are making most amount of errors, and eventually it will improve. I know it is a time consuming process. It might sound a lot to work on, but it definitely helps you think programmatically and be able to write code with much more efficiency. When I started my bachelor's, I came from math, physics, okay, what do you call it? PCM? Yeah, physics, chemistry, and math background. I didn't know anything about computer science. I didn't have computer science in my 11th and 12th. So when I started my bachelor's as a computer science, it was very difficult for me. And coming from maths background, when teacher used to write x equals to x plus 1, I was like, are you crazy? How is it even possible? So it was very funny. And now when I look back at those things, uh, I feel like laughing. But then, and also the first internal exam that I had, I got like 13 marks out of 50, so I failed in that exam. But that was probably the moment of realization that I have taken computer science, and if I can't write programs, then what's the point of it? And that's when I started looking into all these things like hacker rank, hacker earth, lead code, and I referenced some of the books and studied those things, and eventually I started feeling like yes, I am a lot more confident in programming. DSA is very boring. Yeah, you could say so. When you start, I think it feels boring. I felt the same way when I was looking at stack queue, linked list, tree, graph, those kind of things. I felt it was very hard, and I think this perception also comes from the fact which teachers are teaching you those kind of things. So if you have learned these things in your bachelor's, and if the teachers didn't do justice to these subjects, I think it can be very boring, because that was the case for me at least. But then when I went back and read some books, I started understanding them. A lot of people were really scared of linked list, but the way I understood linked list and I tried making those things understand to my friends, they started liking linked list as well. So linked list was a separate module, and a lot of people skipped that for final exam. But people like me, I picked that module, and I was able to score every full marks in that particular module. And a lot of people, like my friends, they also picked that same module. So I would say, I think it very much depends on who has taught you all those things and what are the resources that you have used to learn these things. Because I was the same like you. In the beginning, I felt like it is very boring, but when I understood, I really like it. And when I work on some of the coding projects these days, I don't have to think about which data structure to use or how to improve the complexity of the code. It just automatically comes, because it just becomes your habit. And sometimes it's not the most optimal one, and when there is a lot more latency and you think that you can improve the code even further, then I go back and change things. But now I don't have to think too much. It just becomes habit. So I would say, keep practicing even though you find it boring. Just keep practicing. Maybe dedicate 1 hour per day, that's all. And practice. Eventually you will get better, and you will start to feel like this isn't that boring, or this isn't that hard. So yeah, that's my suggestion. I don't know how much is going to help and how much you agree to that, but that's how I think, and that's how I improved my programming skills. Hi Utkarsh. In UK, do companies see technical skills, or do they focus more on cultural fit? I have heard many a time that because of cultural fit, many of them are failing the interview. I would say it is both. Because in India, I think with pure technical skills, you should be able to clear interviews. But here, you need technical skills as well as you need soft skills. And cultural fit is very important here, because recently I interviewed a few candidates, and one of them was very strong technically, but he was not that good when it comes to soft skills. But then there were other candidates, and one of them was okay with technical skills. And when I say okay, she wasn't very far back to the guy who was very strong in technical skills. So she was at par, but maybe 4 or 5% less than that person. But then she was also good at communicating things. So I just shared um, my thought process and my, what do you call it, results of the interview with the manager. And then it was up to manager who they would like to pick. And I don't know the final results as of yet, but I feel like they might have selected the person who was much more balanced, both technically as well as soft skill wise. So it's important to have both. You can't just clear a clear an interview with pure technical skills. So yeah, I am, whatever you have heard, I think it is correct. Please share your DSA book and resources. Okay, I will make a note of it, and I'll have to probably do a little bit more search because it's been a while. I think it was one of the local authors, but yeah, I'll make a note and I will share the resource with you. I am a Queen Mary student studying data science. I have completed semester 1. What should I focus on now as a data scientist? Accounting to you, how good should I be in programming? I would say very good. And there was this misconception, and that's what Sagar and I we have been discussing for some time today, that a lot of people in the past, when they thought they're not good at programming, so they can just leave the software development side of thing and then jump into data science. But now the difference between software development and data science is getting lesser and lesser. So if you're applying for a data science role, they expect you to be good at programming because you'll be writing quite a lot of code. I'll be very frank here. I write code on daily basis, and if you're not good at programming or if you don't like programming, then it's going to be very difficult for you to survive in that particular role. So yes, your programming skills need to be very good. What should I focus on? So I'm not sure exactly what you have covered in your first semester, but I would say try to interact with as many people as you can, and if possible try to present your projects. There are a lot of meetups that happen in London, so do try to participate in those meetups. Try to present your projects, whatever you're working on. That way you will build some confidence of presenting stuff, and you will also improve your soft skills, which will help you quite a lot in your interviews as well as in your job. So try doing those things because you will learn quite a lot of technical stuff in your masters. They do try to help you to improve your soft skills as well, but you'll have to work quite a lot on soft skills. Technical skills, I personally feel like, is easy to learn and gain, and it's a lot more faster to develop new technical skills, but it's a little hard to develop soft skills. So I would say start working on your soft skills if you are not confident enough, but if you're confident, then that's fine. Just focus on your technical skills. So those are the things that I can maybe suggest. we have reached 1 hour mark. It was really nice talking to you all, and I have made a note of the resources and books, Sagar. I will try to find them and I will share them with you, and hopefully you will start liking data structures because of me. Right. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy learning. I will see you next Saturday, 12 p.m. UK time. Bye.